Oh yeah, we got some fun BS to talk about today, and I mean that completely sarcastically because I'm getting really sick of this at this point. Jacob Blake versus Ryan Whittaker. First, allow me to explain to you the Jacob Blake story because it's all on video. Kenosha, Wisconsin, which is about halfway between Milwaukee and Chicago. If you're not familiar, I wasn't 100% sure it was. I knew it was a Milwaukee suburb, but I didn't realize it's pretty much halfway to Chicago along the side of the lake. All right, so what happens? Blake, he's got a warrant out for his arrest for, violent assault and weapons charges and a bunch of other random stuff. Whatever, normal thing. He's surrounded by the police. Well, he doesn't listen to what they're telling him, which is basically, you're under arrest. We have a warrant for your arrest. And he starts acting aggressively. Go ahead, watch the video. He's walking towards cops, walking away from cops, not listening to cops, acting violent, pushing them away, blah, blah, blah. So they've got their guns drawn on him. They're saying, dude, you're coming with us. We have a warrant for your arrest. This is lawful. Put your damn hands up. Doesn't listen, keeps getting more and more aggressive, and then eventually he decides that he's going to enter a vehicle. He's going to enter an SUV. Inside the SUV, there's some children. Now, it's unclear. They're his kids, apparently. It's unclear if he intended to escape, was like he was going to get in the vehicle and try to lead, the police on a high-speed chase with the children in the back of the car, or, he was going in to recover a weapon, because that's most often what happens when somebody reaches inside of a vehicle after, a situation where they're being, ordered to not do that by police. He got shot. Oh, he got shot in the back. It doesn't matter. You get shot if you do that. Period. That's what happens, all right? This guy was given plenty of chances, and a lot of people say, oh, why isn't he tased? No. Why didn't he listen to the cops? Maybe the cops would have had more options, even if he had just stood there and refused to surrender, but at least he didn't move to do aggressive things or put his children at risk. That's the question you should be asking. Not what are they called? Armchair quarterbacking, whether what the cop needed to do. You know what? Shut up. This guy was a known criminal, and he got himself shot. Boo-hoo. It's got nothing to do with race. Everybody who watched the video knows that. So far, now, of course, Kenosha has erupted into riots. There's been riots everywhere else, and some people still rioting in this guy's name. Why? Well, because the media is very poorly doing a very poor job of covering this by basically reporting that he was just a sweet innocent victim who got shot in the back. None of that's happened. That's not the case. That's what the media has been saying, right? So we've seen armed standoffs between police and rioters, not protesters, rioters. People blocking the street, pointing rifles at them. There has been shots fired. It's a little unclear who was shooting who. Thank God the cops got those Bearcats, right? Same people were saying that, oh my God, what do the police need these armored vehicles for? Oh no. It's like, yeah, they need them for things like this. Because basically, if they were having rifles pointed at them and they weren't sitting in a Bearcat that the rifle can't penetrate, guess what's going to happen? They're going to immediately have to start shooting these people. So that protects the protesters, the rioters, just as much as it protects the police, the armored car, because it stops... It limits the threat, I should say, that somebody with a rifle poses. All right? Millions of dollars worth of property damage. Burned down, destroyed an entire car dealership. Never seen anything quite like that. That was like a whole lot of cars, like just one after another. Massive fires. Justice, right? And they also were targeting police officers, and I think he's in pretty bad shape after pretty much getting bricked. It's bad. It was bad. That was the justified... Now, they were using the Blake situation to justify that. Yeah, they probably didn't know or care. These are just basically people who just want to be violent. They want to tear down the system. They'll use any excuse, whether it's good or bad. And the politicians are moronic on this. Absolutely moronic. Bob Casey, my Pennsylvania senator, who's one of the dumbest people in Congress. He is 100% bought and paid for by whatever it is, the DNC. He just votes whatever the DNC is. And I've heard him talk and I've heard him debate, and he is not a bright man. He is not smart. And I don't mean he's like a simple guy or that he's uneducated. I mean, he actually seems like he's just genuinely a dumb guy who just wants to just go along with whatever the Dems say. So whatever. So he tweets, and you know, judge for yourself. Jacob Blake was shot multiple times in the back by police in broad daylight while his 3 children watched. Yeah, that's really how you want to frame that. That's how you want to frame that. That's. Don't you think there are some other, you know, more relevant details that maybe should be applied there before that? I mean, it's like. I mean, it's like when we see somebody describe a movie and they describe it poorly, and they're like, "Yeah, young boy gets in a spacecraft, kills hundreds of thousands of government troops or something in a space station, right? Whoa, that sounds. But it was the Death Star. But you know, you omit those things. I can't think of any good ones off my head, but I've seen some pretty damn good ones. And then he continues, Bob Casey. There's no excuse, no possible explanation. Well, yes, there is. Had you watched the video? Had you watched the whole video? And Bob, you know what? Next time you're in a situation where you need help, I hope that the cops don't draw and they don't come to your house and you have to then decide for yourself whether you live or die, based on whether you know what the intentions of somebody who's violent, who, you know, has a warrant, is out to hurt you, or you just simply don't know. And then you have to, for yourself, decide what you're going to do. Because you can't, you're passing judgment, and you don't have the balls to even do half of what these cops do. In fact, you're trying to disarm the rest of us because of your gun control nonsense, and you don't even have the balls to protect yourself. You want your police protection. Rest of us, forget it. And when it comes to the police doing their job, you'll throw them right under the bus. I hope not a single cop, even from Pennsylvania or from, you know, D.C., escorts him as a senator. I hope they all say, no, you're going to have to hire private security because we're not doing it. That's the whole other thing. There must be an independent investigation. These officers must be held accountable. # Black Lives Matter. Bob Casey's a moron. Yeah, of course there's going to be independent investigation. Weapons were fired, and a man basically was hospitalized. Didn't even die, right? But you know what the investigation is going to determine? They're going to watch the whole video, and they're going to say, yeah, all right, dumbass. Of course he got shot. Open and closed. Officers being held accountable. Really? Really? They can't shoot somebody at that point where the guy's getting into a vehicle and actively threatening children and the officers. If you can't do it at that point, cops, you know what? If they really do indict these guys or go after these guys, I hope every cop in Kenosha, Wisconsin, just says, no, we're not doing our jobs anymore. Sorry. If you can't trust us to, you know, protect our own lives when it's on film and it's black and white as to what happened, and you're going to lie about us and smear us because you need a sacrificial lamb to the cult of BLM, we're not going to. What do we get out of trying to enforce a warrant? Really? What do the cops get, right, for doing their job? They get arrested because the criminal can act violently and irrationally and ignore their orders, their lawful orders. Pisses me off. So, Sean King, of course, comes out, along with others, openly calling for violence. They want to tear down the system by any means necessary. Hence the rioting. And then probably one of the worst parts is the DAs are letting the rioters out of jail. They're calling them righteous protesters, or protesters with righteous anger. In the meantime, if you see footage from the event, it looks like it's a scene from RoboCop, where the first one, when, you know, the police or whatever are on strike or something, and then, like, I think it's not the first one or second one when they're on strike, whatever. The chaos in the streets, all the insanity, the rioting, the looting, the destruction, right? That I mean, it looks like the scene from RoboCop, and that's not an exaggeration. Like, that's pretty much what it looks like. This is a setup, by the way. The DAs, largely, well, they're all Democrats, largely Soros planted. We got one in Philadelphia. It's basically Soros, he knows what the power is. You know? You can't stop a revolution if they can't, if they won't arrest people for being violent. Think he didn't think that through? And nobody pays attention to who DAs are. DA is a very important job. But, it's a setup. And the reason why I'm saying it's a setup is because they're trying to bait. They're one of two outcomes they want. They want to bully you into submission. Not going to speak up, not going to stand up, because, you know, the consequences will be violence against you, against your house, against your family, against whatever, because now they're coming into the suburbs and they're coming into the residential areas. The point is, you say the wrong thing, you do the wrong thing, they want to come and they want to call you a racist and they want to make your life a living hell. They want to get you fired from your job. They want to do all these horrible things to you. And they use the violence as, you know, the tool. Basically, it's the, well, you know, even if we can't socially bully you into submitting, we do have, you know, this essentially rabid dog that will unleash on you. That's part of it. And the other part of it is they're trying to goat the right into reacting violently. Now, if people with rifles on my city block were holding up the police, it was really a suburban block, but, you know, if something like that was going down on my street, what do, right? I mean, if you're armed and you're like, okay, this, what is going on? Like now, because the cops don't have control of the street, now these armed mobs that are out to, you know, destroy you, now are in control. At what point is it okay to fight back? But it's bait. It's bait, it's bait, it's bait. They are trying to get the right to fight back violently with force, and it'll probably be justified the first time it happens. Maybe it won't be, but they're trying to get somebody to push back violently so that after the fact they can retroactively say, hey, look, that justifies all the violence that they've been doing. It's election politics. Cynical, awful election politics. And you know how I know it's election politics? Ask your average normie what the status of the Ryan Whittaker investigation is. You can remind them what that is if they don't know. Maybe you don't know. Maybe you're listening to this. You're like, who the hell's Ryan Whittaker? What does he have to do with it? Exactly. Look it up. We supposed to riot? We supposed to destroy things? You know, we're supposed to stand united racially or something because of that? That's got footage of it too. That's got crystal clear footage of it too. Of a serious screw up. This worse than the Breonna Taylor case by far. There was no justification for what happened. Whether it's homicide or not is a little, like I should say, whether it's murder or not is a little. It could be essentially training, and you know the city still owes these people, but it made the cop might have been trained really poorly, and that might not be his fault. But you want to talk about people getting shot in the back, all right? And that's what I'm saying. Ask your average normie. Do they know? Nope. They don't know. They don't know who it is. They don't know who he is. They have no idea what that is. They have no idea why people are upset about that. Ask the media. Go ahead. When was the last time they talked about that? We're going to be hearing about this Jacob Blake guy for a while. Now, they're trying to make him George Floyd 2.0. I don't think that's going to quite work because I think enough people have common sense and can see the whole video. But if you're in the cult already, I mean, ain't nothing going to stop you. You're just looking for excuses to continue the violence. Like Sean King's a good example, right? It doesn't matter whether Jacob Blake was innocent or guilty or did anything wrong. It doesn't matter. What matters is that it's an opportunity to utilize an incident to advance a political agenda. Same with Bob Casey. You're just as bad as Sean King, Bob. You're just as bad. At least yours is ignorance. Sean King is just like, he's like a really weird dude who is like a white guy who pretends to be a black guy because he's, I don't know, he's got some sort of disassociative, what do they call it, like race dysphoria or something? I don't know what his deal is. He's a scam artist. He makes a lot of money doing it. But, yeah, for all Bob Casey's out there, I hope the cops refuse to protect you, guard you, show up to your events, do anything, because you don't deserve it. You just don't. You don't. They don't deserve, they shouldn't have to put their lives on the line for somebody like you who will go out there and smear them and pretend like you know how to do their job when you when it's a situation like this, when you're just exploiting it for political gain. And then somebody like Ryan Whittaker out there, and you don't say a goddamn word. When that was black and white. So, yeah, I'm tired of it. It's went on longer than I wanted it to. But, you know what? There's a lot of bullcrap to talk about. And it's tiresome. So, keep your heads cool. Vent online. Do what you got to do. But don't be taking up arms. Even if it's justified, don't do it. It's a setup. It's a setup. It's a setup. It's a setup. So, hang in there.